Hello guys, welcome to the 3D market commentary for today being August 9th, 2021. It's a Monday, so hopefully you guys had a great weekend and you have a great trading week ahead. My name is Becky. My email address is there, becky@tradictive.com. There's also support@tradictive.com, so you can email either one of those if you have questions. Let's just make sure that we cover the disclaimers here. There we go. They're up there on the left hand side, so you guys have a read of those. Of course, important to read them for legal purposes, but also to understand that these kind of videos are demonstrations and it's up to you really what you do with them, whether you take them on board, ignore them entirely, or something in between. Okay, so just quickly before we start, so you've got a couple of email addresses there if you have questions, but there's also this link, which is tradewithufos.com/Becky. Now, the reason why I'd like you to post questions here is once you come to this link, you can get your free Trade with UFOs membership at the top here. And then if you scroll down, you can then ask a question in this area. Now, this area is a great place to ask questions because one, it means that we might even be able to use them and do sessions on them. So you get a whole half-an-hour video or something like that explaining your question that's kind of sort of tailored to exactly what you wanted, but we've been able to get the question from here. But if not, then we answer the question here anyway. So either way, we can turn your questions into a public answer, which means other people also learn from the question, other people also learn from the answer. So if you can post them here, then that's great, because then that way everybody, sort of the whole community learns together. So ideally that's what you do. Okay, so let's have a quick look here then at the 3D market commentary. So we send an email out every day that has information on 5 of the major markets in the world, and we look at 3 different elements per market, hence why we call it a 3D approach. So the first one here is we're looking at market climate, meaning where do we have probabilities? Up, down, or nowhere? What's the upcoming market direction? If it's up, should we be looking to buy? If it's down, should we be looking to sell? And basically, where do we have probabilities? Now, we use an app to help us with that. We use this app down here. It's called AutoClimate. That app helps us by running through market data and coming back and basically telling us where the probabilities lie. So if we ignore the lines for now and just focus on the dots, we could have a thick blue dot. That tells us we have probability to the upside, so we should probably look to buy. If we have a thick red dot, that tells us probability to the downside, so we should probably look to sell. And then we have thin dots of either colour. They tell us that we have probability neither way, and therefore we do nothing. We change time frame, we change market, we move on. So we're going to look at that per market, AutoClimate, where do we have probabilities? Then we're going to look at buy and sell UFOs, unfilled orders. That helps us to figure out exactly where we're going to buy and sell. Because if we want to buy, then we want to buy where there's lots of other buyers. The only way price can go up is if you have more buyers than sellers. So ideally we want to know where those buyers are. That's what this app does for us, Auto UFOs. It shows us where the buyers and sellers are. So if it's a green UFO, a green band, that shows us where buyers are. So we can be really specific as to where we buy. If we sell, we want to sell with red UFOs because that's where we have lots of sellers. If we're selling, we want to sell with lots of sellers because they're much more likely to push price downwards. The only way price can go down is if you have more sellers than buyers. So we'd rather sell with lots of other sellers to give us that probability there. So we're going to use an app, the Auto UFO app, to help us with that. And then we've got market volatility, upcoming price change speed. Basically, how far do we expect these markets to move within given periods of time? So we'll look at that per market, and we're looking at 5 separate markets. Now we're starting with the S&P 500, which is the top 500 US stocks. And we are looking at the futures for all of these markets. So essentially, we are looking at a representation of US stocks right now. We're looking at a daily chart. Of course, different things happen on different time frames. This is relevant to a daily chart. So with the S&P, we have a confirmed upwards climate, a thick blue dot, probability there to the upside. Usually, the S&P, so the US stock market, would go up for 9 candles in a row. Just rounded that up. And we're on candle number 4. So that tells us that we have probability to continue upwards at least for another few days based on what usually happens there. Now we do have buy UFO or buy orders there just beneath us at 4371.50 to 4341.50. That's where we have our closest stack of buy orders. They've already worked a few times to push price up. Price came in, went up, came in, went up, came in, went up. That's what we expect buy orders to do, is push price upwards, which is why we want to know where they are. That's why we use this app to highlight for us where these buy orders are. So overall here, probability upwards with the S&P, climate to the upside, buy orders underneath us, buying and buying leads to a good idea to buy. Now, saying that, we're obviously talking about probabilities here, statistical averages, things like that. It's not to say that it's definite. It's not to say that you wouldn't have more variables that you might look at to go in your favour. We definitely manage our risk just in case we're wrong. So with volatility, we would expect that in 1 year, the S&P would move up or down by 17.26%, which means in a day, up or down of 48.07 points. In a week, 105.82 points, and in 1 month, 220.29 points. That's movement up or down. So that's the S&P. Now moving on to the next market, which is oil. In the meantime, it says here about educating yourself. Of course, there are different courses that you can take on futures, stocks, backtesting, forex, trading plans, psychology. Most of our courses come with 3-month complimentary access to the apps. Now, AutoClimate is a free app on most platforms you can get it on. Auto UFOs, which you can just subscribe to directly, that is a paid for app, and it depends on which platform you use as to how much it is. So check it out on the platform that you use it on. Most of the time it's actually cheaper to do a course and get the UFOs for 3 months than it is to actually subscribe directly to the UFOs. So it might actually be a more cost-effective way of doing it by doing a course as well. So with oil, coming back to this, we have a confirmed downwards climate, thick red dot there, probability downwards. Usually the market would go down for 7 candles, rounded that up again. We're on candle number 5. So we are, again, still got a little bit of room based on what usually happens to continue this move. Now we have sell orders above us here at 71.96 to 69.19. Again, already worked. Price came in, pushed it down. That's what we expect sell UFOs to do, is push price downwards, which is why we want to know where they are so that we can have an idea of where we should be selling. So overall probability down here. We do have buy orders here at 60.77 to 58.73. So if the market was to continue to fall and hit the stack of buy orders, it may go up. Again, these buy orders have already worked at this point. These push price up here. They came in, hit the buy orders there and went up and haven't been back since. Again, that's why we want to know where they are so we can catch these moves. For the time being, though, we still have probability to the downside with oil. In terms of volatility, in 1 year, we'd expect movement up or down of 39.31%, which means up or down in 1 day, movements of 1.62 points. In a week, 3.57 points, and in 1 month, 7.42 points up or down. Now moving on to the next market here, which is gold. Obviously it says there about coaching and support. We do a lot of coaching online for free, of course. We respond to your emails and things for free. So you can join us on Facebook and YouTube and LinkedIn and other platforms as well. We do also have a closed coaching community that is paid for. It's a really low amount actually per month. It gives you access to more of our time in a closed environment. So either way, you have access to the same thing. It's just a different amount of time that you get, and obviously a different amount of exclusivity. It's more exclusive with the paid for one. Okay, so with gold, we have a confirmed downwards climate, thick red dot, probability downwards. Usually the market would go down for 7 candles, again rounding that up. We're on candle number 2, so probability for it to continue to move down based on what usually happens. We have sell orders here at 1835.9 to 1799.7. We have buy orders here at 1652.8 to 1624.4. We're kind of in the middle, slightly closer to the sell orders, but overall probability downwards there coming from the climate. In terms of volatility, we would see in a year movement up or down of 15.9%, which in a day is up or down of 17.49 points. In a week would be 38.5 points up or down, and in 1 month 80.14 points up or down. So that's gold. Moving on to the next market, which is the US dollar. The US dollar is responsible for about 80% of transactions worldwide every day. Be aware of it, whether you trade it or not, be aware of it. It will impact nearly any market you could be trading. So with the dollar, we have a confirmed upwards climate, thick blue dot there, probability to the upside. Usually this market would go up For 5 candles, we're on candle number 1. So again, probability that it continues up based on what usually happens. However, we do have sell orders here that could change that. So we have these sell orders between 93.47 to 93.005. Now they already worked. Price came in, went down. Price came in, went down. That's what we expect sell orders to do, is push price down. And that's exactly what they've already done a couple of times. Now price is on its way back up. So what we have here is buy orders underneath us coming from the climate, sell orders just above us that will come in from this UFO. So we have 2 competing forces here. For me, I choose to keep away from that. I'd rather keep out of whatever fight they're having and jump on the winning bandwagon, as it were. I want to make sure I have as much probability in my favour as possible. For the time being, we have overall probability to the upside, but only slightly. So for me, it's not enough for me to be really willing to risk anything on these markets. Obviously, you might think differently about it, but for me, they're only slight probability to the upside. I would rather keep away. So with volatility, we would expect in a year movement up or down of 5.18%, which is 0.3 points up or down in a day. In a week, 0.67 points, and in 1 month, 1.39 points up or down within those given periods of time. Now moving on to the last market, which is back to Bitcoin. In the meantime, it says there about self-scheduling a clarification call. If you do have questions about the memberships, the coaching, the apps, the courses, what's going to be right for you, if anything, you can self-schedule a clarification call, speak to one of our experts and figure it out with them. Now, with back to Bitcoin, we have a confirmed upwards climate, thick blue dot here, probability to the upside. Now, we don't actually know how long this market usually goes up or down for, because it's just not old enough yet. It's not been around long enough for us to have the data on a daily chart to say this is what usually happens or not. So we're kind of in the dark there, but what we do know is that we're on candle number 13 to the upside, and we still have probability upwards. Now again, similar situation in that we're coming into sell orders. So we have sell orders here at 51,782.5 to 46,807.5. We also have buy orders here, 41,460 to 37,437.5. Basically, we have buy orders coming in from the climate, buy orders coming in from the UFO, but sell orders just about to start coming in from this sell UFO. So same situation, price is kind of fighting itself. I would choose to keep away until I have a clear room to go in one direction or another. But for the time being, overall, slightly probability to the upside here with Bitcoin. Now, in 1 year, we would expect it to move up or down of 111.44%. So in a day, that's up or down of 3,188.69. In a week, 7,019.57 up or down. And in 1 month, it would be 14,612.4 up or down. So that is Bitcoin, and that's the last market. So we've now looked at 5 markets and looked at where the probabilities lie for each of them based on their climate, so their probability in terms of trend and market direction. We've looked at the UFOs, where we might have buyers and sellers coming in that might change things or keep them going in that direction. And we've looked at market volatility, how quickly we would expect to see these markets move. So hopefully that made sense. Any questions, of course, you can email me, becky@tradictive.com, or you can go to tradewithufos.com/Becky. One last thing before we round up is our weekly economic calendar. We get this from FX Street, and we filter by high impact news, meaning we want to know what news reports are scheduled to come out that could create volatility in the markets. So for example, today being Monday, we have news coming out on, is that the Indian rupee? No, that's not the flag. Might be Indonesia. So we have news coming out in the Indonesian markets. Now you can go to fxstreet.com to this calendar, and you can filter by the countries that you trade in or the currencies that you trade, so that you can be more aware of what's going to impact you as a trader individually. For those that trade in Indonesian markets, I'm pretty sure that's the Indonesian flag and the code for it there, then that might be you. Nothing tomorrow, and then on Wednesday we would have news coming out that could affect the Euro and the US markets. So be aware of that if you trade those markets. So that's me done. Like I said, you can go to tradewithufos.com/Becky just to get yourself a free Trade with UFOs membership at the top here. You can come down and then ask a question in a public space so that I can answer it in a public space and we all learn from the same area. You can also book one-on-one coaching with me on this page if you'd like to as well. I will love you and leave you. So I will be back on Wednesday. I'm doing a session on Forex. I'll be back on Thursday morning as well for another one of these market commentaries. In the meantime, my colleague Boyan will be taking the market commentary, so please join him. And I will see you guys next time. Hope you have a great trading week, and I'll see you soon.